1. So a few months ago, I stopped working at a large chain retail and grocery store. I had worked there for around 2 years. They don't necessarily have a set uniform, each department wears something slightly different, but still with the store logo. Sometimes, if you're just filling in or are a new starter or temp without uniform, you can just wear smart clothes, but still with a name tag. Cut to earlier today. I had just been to an interview, so I was wearing somewhat smart clothing, blouse and black trousers, and had popped into said store for some groceries on my way home. I'm only planning on getting a few things, so I don't take a basket. I'm a bit of a neat freak when it comes to stores, so as I was looking for products, I'd also straighten the shelves a little. You can't tell me nobody else does this. Suddenly, a middle-aged woman approached me and asked where she could find hemp milk. Oh, sorry, I don't work here, but I believe it's in aisle 24 or 26.
Listen, I've had a busy day and I don't have time for your games. I can see you straightening shelves. You work here. Now take me to the hemp milk. It's for my daughter's husband. He's got a milk allergy and I just want some hemp milk.
I understand, but I don't work here.
Stop messing with me, you fat cow. I've seen you working here. I just witnessed you straightening the shelves. I've told you I've had a busy day. Now take me to the milk so I can go home.
I honestly don't know where it would be. I'm sorry, but I need to get home myself. I move around her to carry on with my day. But as I do so, a manager I don't recognize walks down the aisle. The lady screams at him about me not helping her. I turn to him and explain that I don't work there. But before I can say anything, she's shouting and pointing at me, and there are customers around us watching what's going on. The manager is obviously new to the store and is likely embarrassed at the other customers looking at us. So asks the lady and I if we would come to the back of the store. This is normal. There's a couple of security rooms at the rear of the store for interviewing irate customers and staff that have broken rules, lost money, etc. I try to explain through her shouting that I don't work there, but follow along anyway. The manager asks the lady to wait in one room whilst he opens the door to the one next to it and waves me inside. Before I can speak, he starts saying that as a new starter, I should be trying to make a good impression on the company, and that I can expect to be fired for ignoring and being rude to a customer like that. Before I've entered, one of the supervisors I used to know well comes into the hallway the rooms are on. It connects the shop floor to the colleague toilets, and sees me. He immediately starts chatting, asking how I am, etc. He then realizes I'm going into a security room and questions it. I explain that a customer thinks I'm being a rude employee and that I haven't been able to get a word in edgeways and explain to this manager that I don't work here. The old supervisor immediately starts laughing at the predicament, saying that I left months ago, and the manager, still holding the door, flushes bright red with embarrassment. He starts apologizing profusely to me, stating that he's new here and that he hasn't had a chance to meet the colleagues properly. He even offers me vouchers. Luckily, I'm in pretty good spirits and laugh it off. Poor guy seems stressed beyond relief. I left to go to the shop floor as he went in to speak to the customer, so I don't know how she took the news. But hopefully she came out alive. 2. I work in the framing department at a popular craft, hobby and decor store. We have a table out in view of the customers where we do most of the work on our projects. This happened a few days ago and I'm still fuming about it. It was a mid-morning on a weekday and we usually aren't too busy at that time. Me and my co-worker had 2 projects we were working on at the table, and we were just having a conversation. Nothing bad, just a casual conversation, probably about food because I'm 23 weeks pregnant and I'm always hungry. So food is often a topic I bring up. I've worked retail for about 15 years, and I've grown to notice people's body language when someone wants to ask you a question, but doesn't want to interrupt you, just so you're aware that I'm not totally socially inept. We had a customer come into our frames area, walk down one aisle, and turn to go down another aisle. She was in our line of sight for maybe 3 minutes maximum, never glanced in our direction or did that awkward hovering around us thing like she was waiting for us to ask her if she had a question. She genuinely looked like she was casually looking at our frame selection. In the next 30+ minutes, we never saw her again and ended up stopping our conversation and what we were working on several times to assist customers. No big deal. We get a call from the customer service manager up by the checkouts who proceeds to tell us that this walk-through customer complained about us because she claimed she was back in our department for 45 minutes waiting for us to stop our conversation so she could ask us a question. The CSM didn't believe her, of course, because neither myself nor the framer I was working with are the kinds of people to straight up ignore a customer. The funniest part of the whole thing is that another customer came up while she made her 3-minute walk through our department, and we stopped what we were doing to assist him. We assisted multiple customers in the 45 minutes she claims to have been waiting in our department. The CSM just jokingly told us that we weren't allowed to talk ever again. I mean, had this woman been standing in our department for 45 minutes looking for a frame, I would have definitely broken away from my task to ask her if she needed help. Because who needs that long to pick out a frame? Most people need like 10 minutes maximum to find a frame they like in our department, and even that long is rare. Not sure why she felt the need to lie about it. Maybe she was just mad that we didn't immediately ask her if she needed help, while we worked on our projects and held a pleasant conversation. We often get customers who just make a loop through our department, and so we don't immediately greet every customer unless they legitimately look like they are lost and need help finding something. If we greeted everyone, we'd get no projects accomplished. The CSM never passed the complaint along to the store manager because she knew the customer was grossly exaggerating everything. She offered to pass her question along to our department and get us to answer, but the lady claimed that she was going to go to the large box store down the street because she knew they would have what she needed, and they wouldn't be standing around talking. She must think they're robots that don't converse with their co-workers. 3. So a little info about me. Firstly, I have never worked in retail and don't have that ingrained sense of customer service. Second, unlike a lot of people I've seen, I do not suffer from anxiety or a fear of confrontation. Third, I am a big man. Very big, 6'3", 300 plus. So for the story. It's a little long, but bear with me. Important characters: me, psychotic demon-spawned harpy, Karen, equals K, store manager, SM, police officer, PO1. I was working overnight for a distribution center for a very large online market, let's call them Zamazon. I was coming off of a holiday shift when my mom called and asked me to take her and my aunt to the store to pick up some last-minute supplies for their respective holiday dinners. I agreed since 1, I was off the following night, and 2, my mom's cooking is divine. So we headed to Walmart. They both grabbed carts and head off. Now, this was some years ago when the push-to-talk phones were really popular. This is very important. So as my mom and aunt are shopping, I go wander off to the electronics department because I was planning on getting a new laptop. As I'm browsing, my phone gave off the telltale push-to-talk chirp. When I check, it's Mom. I chirp back and she says that she needs some help in the baked goods aisle. I tell her I'm on my way and turn on my heels and start that way. As I'm clearing the end of the aisle I'm on, I hear a low, "Hey, excuse me," from the other end of the aisle. I ignore it as Mom has summoned me to my sacred son duty. I get to my mom and she asks me to load up a couple 20-pound bags of sugar. She has a bad back, so heavy lifting is a common request when we go places. After fulfilling my tasks like the dutiful son that I am, I decide to check on my aunt to see if she needs any help. I find her a few aisles over at the sodas, and being the human forklift that I am, I decide to load them up for her. After my familial obligations are done, I turn back to head for the electronics and my future PC. As I make it to the end of the aisle, a wild Karen appears. Now when I say Karen, I mean typical Karen. From the "I want to speak to your manager" haircut, to the bright neon green running shoes that have never seen more than a brisk power walk. As she comes just short of causing my voice to go from tenor to soprano, I take a quick step to the side, give a less than enthusiastic sorry, and start past, because damn it, I want my laptop. This lady grabs my arm and says in a voice that immediately pisses me off,
"Now that you're done screwing around in other departments, you need to help me."
Now this is before the advent of "I don't work here, lady," so I'm absolutely confused. I'm tired, hungry, and I really want to get my laptop. So being the aspiring asshole that I am, I look at her, pull free of her talons, and start to walk away. Oh, this was the wrong thing to do. She lets out a banshee howl and starts a litany of curses that would make Quentin Tarantino say,
That was rude.
Now this little harpy is cursing me and calling me a lazy, well, it started with N and rhymed with bigger. She then proceeds to go on a tirade in which she repeats her favorite word several times, compares my mother and my aunt to female dogs, and suggests that I can't be bothered to help a white person. The problem with you people is that you've forgotten your place. Now, by this point, I'm absolutely shocked that this woman has the nerve to talk to a total stranger like this. When, while in the process of dropping the N-bomb again, she says that I shouldn't even be working in this neighborhood. The least you can try to do is not to be completely incompetent. And I'm pretty sure she called me a monkey after that. Charming. Now, I'm trying to figure out just how in the hell this psychopath could possibly think I work here, till I remember what I'm wearing. Tan cargo pants, a blue t-shirt, and my traitorous blue vest with neon reflective accents. Now, if she had been civil about this, I would simply have explained that I don't work for Walmart, and I was sorry for the confusion. However, she wasn't, so I wasn't. This crazy racist bitch had followed me from electronics, and had seen me help both my mom and aunt. Then something that she said that hadn't registered yet came forward in my mind like a psychotic honey badger. You helped those two black bitches. Oh no. This screeching she-bitch called my mom and aunt bitches. It's about to go nuclear in this bitch. Now I need you to stop being so damn lazy and get your sorry ass back over to electronics and do your damn job. Now her tirade has begun to draw attention, and faster than she can recover, I stick my finger just shy of her nose and cut her off. In my best deadpan, soulless beast from the ninth circle tone, I ask, do I look like I care what you fucking need? She is stunned, almost silent. Almost. She tried to recover. How dare you talk to a customer like that? You need to respect your betters. I dare because I don't work here, you ignorant racist fucking cuntrag. My betters? I don't know who in the fuck you think you are, but if you ever touch me or talk to me like that, I will make damn sure you never do it again. By this time, a manager and security, which in this neighborhood are actual police officers, make their way to us, and oh boy does it go from nuclear to apocalyptic. Now, as I said, I'm a big guy, and as you can tell from her tirade, clearly not white. And I'm shopping in a predominantly white part of my city. That's where my parents live. So as you might guess, at first things are not going to go well for me. Big black man intimidating a petite white woman. I was almost taken away then and there. However, it's Karen who saved me. She turns to the manager and says, I want him fired and I will be pressing charges. This is no way for an employee to treat a customer. The manager looks at me and immediately realizes that something isn't right. He asked Karen exactly what happened. She then goes on a fanciful tale. He rudely blew me off in the electronics department to come over here and waste time helping his kind. And when I told him that he needed to help me, he blew me off again. When I grabbed his arm to stop him from ignoring me, he assaulted me and hurt my hand. It was at this point I could see the expressions of the manager and both police officers shift from daggers of hate in my direction, to confusion, to grim understanding. Now this woman, who had been following me for at least 15 minutes staring hate at my back, could not have possibly missed the gigantic Zamazon logo on my back. But apparently her Karen vision was in full effect. Sir, can you please explain this behavior? Said the store manager. I came in to do some shopping with my mom and aunt, and had gone over to electronics because I wanted a new computer. My mom called me over to help her out, and I also helped out my aunt. Then, as I was heading back to electronics, she nearly hit me in my soft bits before clawing at my arm and going on her rant. Now, the entire time I'm putting heavy emphasis on the word mom and aunt. All the while I'm watching the gears in Karen's head turning. I swear you could see when one of those gears slipped a rod. Her face goes from beet red and angrily smug to sheet white and shocked. Although I still don't think she realized I was not an employee, she is starting to realize the relationship I share with the people she has insulted. She doesn't give up, however. He still shouldn't be prioritizing family while he's on the clock, nor should he be browsing merchandise instead of assisting customers. Ma'am, this man is not an employee of this store, and according to your own words, you have assaulted him as well as harassed him.
Then why is he in uniform and carrying a radio?
Are you stupid or are you blind? Did you not see the giant Zamazon logo on the back the whole time you were following me?
But the radio.
You mean my phone?
No, your radio, the one you got the call on from the other employee.
Other employee? That was my mom, you doofus. It's a push-to-talk phone, not a radio. Police Officer 1 turns to me.
Sir, would you like to press charges?
You bet your ass I do. Now looking Karen square in the face. Honestly, I would have let this go, but a racist, bigoted bitch like you doesn't deserve any pity. And I then tell her, after all, I'm too much of a lazy to be bothered to let it go. Karen was promptly cuffed and led away, crying like a toddler who just found out Santa wasn't real. She was charged with assault and harassment. I was given the option to pursue it as a hate crime due to multiple witnesses who mentioned her racist statements, but I didn't think it was worth it. I was able to finish shopping with my family, and to make up for the inconvenience, the store manager opened a line and rang us up himself. I'm pretty sure we got his employee discount, although no one brought it up. 4. This story takes place over the course of a single day, although it did feel like it took a week. There's also a number of people involved in this, and I will introduce them as time goes by. So it was summer in 2001 in southern Georgia. I was a store manager in training to take over the store I was currently working at. As part of the job, I ran the men's department and was responsible for deciding whether something in the store could be returned or not. Sometime around 11, a fellow came in and approached the little cashier stand where I worked. He carried with him a pair of jeans. After greeting him, I asked what I could help him with, and he started his story. Politely, I might add. He explained that his brother had bought the jeans he now held for him, as a getting-out-of-jail present. Thing was, the jeans didn't fit. He wanted to know if they could be exchanged for some other ones, but added that his brother had ironed them and kinda scorched them in the process. I told him, had they not been ironed, then sure, I could have returned them. Sadly, now they were damaged by the customer and not valid to be returned. He thanked me and headed out with them. In a perfect world, the story would have ended there. It didn't. Around noon, M, the fellow I was going to replace, headed out to his hour lunch. B, the other assistant who was slated to take over another store, was working the front while I headed to do some paperwork. A couple minutes into this, I saw him giving me a funny look across the store, a really small store, and gesturing me over. Walking over to him, I was presented with a small, wiry guy who looked like your typical tweaker. This guy had a pair of jeans and wanted to exchange them. B hands them over to me. I notice that they're obviously scorched. Damn it, 2 of these in one day? B asks for my second opinion, and I state that no, they can't be returned as they were ironed by the customer. That's when the customer, henceforth called Tweak, started his story. He went on about how we had to exchange them, as he still had his receipt. And what's more, they were a gift for his brother who had just gotten out of jail. Wait. Back up there. This can't... Nah. It's not the same jeans, is it? He then said that the brother had come in and spoken with a lowly clerk who had refused them, and instead wanted to talk to the manager. They are the same jeans. I back up what B said, adding that I was a manager and not some lowly clerk, and that I wasn't going to return these jeans. My mind had been made up before, it wasn't changing now. Tweak started to get a bit antsy at this point, bouncing around and repeating the "You gotta do it" line over and over. He also was starting to unnerve some of the lady cashiers. That's when a light bulb went off in Tweak's head. He would go over our heads. He wanted to know where M was. We said he was out of the store and would be back in an hour or so. I think we, B and I, expected Tweak to just leave. We weren't so lucky. Tweak takes his jeans and heads outside, waiting in the parking lot. Now remember how I said Tweak was antsy? It got worse once he got out in the parking lot. I didn't get the whole story of this, only a snippet of what happened while he was outside, but the gist of it was when one of our part-time girls, high schoolers, came in to pick up their pay, Tweak said something to her. Something enough to have her call the police on him. B and I pretty much stayed back watching what was going on, trying to figure out what the hell was happening, and what episode of Twilight Zone we just found ourselves in. So weird was this day, within about 10 minutes, no less than 4 police cars were parked in front of the store. I looked at B, and he said, simply, "That can't be good." Understatement of the century there. So Tweak takes the arrival of the police as being his cue to come back inside the store, still with the jeans in hand, and this big-ass beaming grin on his face. He was shortly followed by 2 officers, one whom I knew as Tiny. Tiny was a 6'8" black man, weighing a good 280 pounds, and pure muscle. He was also rather soft-spoken, and a great guy. As Tiny passes me, I say to him, "Who called you?" He gave me a funny look, blinked and said, "What? It wasn't you." I shook my head, and he just shrugged. Guess he was having an odd day too. With the police now here, Tweak started to make his case to the officers, as though he expected them to make us return those jeans. It's at this point M finally returned from his lunch. Now put yourself in M's shoes. For a moment. You head to lunch, store's running fine, and you've got 2 competent managers in charge. When you return, your store is effectively surrounded by police. Yeah, not something you want to see. M comes up about the time Tweak starts off on his explanation to the officer. He asks me what's going on, and I give him the general gist of it. And he steps up to the plate. He tells Tweak that he's the store's overall manager and wants to know what's going on. Around this time, Tiny and his partner wander outside. They do not, however, leave. Rather, they take an interest in the car that Tweak had arrived in. Tweak gives M the same story he tried with B, and a similar story to what his brother told me. M listens and then looks at the jeans before explaining that they are damaged by the customer and can't be returned. It's at this point that things turn weird. Well, weirder than they already were. Tweak looks at M and says something to the effect of,
"If that's how it's gonna be, you better go get this cops back in here, 'cause I'm gonna do something you won't like."
M reaches over, taps Tweak on the shoulder with a light pat-pat, and says, smiling, "We're right here, I'll be right back." With that, he heads out, and back comes Tiny and his partner. Tweak's jaw dropped. I doubt he expected them to, actually, well, go get the cops back. Cops return, escort Tweak out, only to have B run up to the front holding the jeans. "You forgot these!" B calls out, and Tweak snatches them from him and grumbles some. Out in the parking lot, we notice that Tweak's brother is out of the car in handcuffs, and the police took an even closer interest in Tweak. There's a little scuffle. Tweak tries running away, only to run face first into the parking lot light pole and knock himself right out. Things wound down from then, with Tweak and his brother ending up in jail, again, for both. The jeans never got returned, and all was happy. I did eventually ask Tiny the next time I saw him what all the events in the parking lot were about. Tiny, through chuckles, explained that when they arrived, one of the officers recognized the brother. He'd been the original arresting officer of him. In any case, while talking to the brother, he had noticed a bag of weed sitting on the back seat, so they were trying to figure out whose it was, and it cuffed the brother when he ratted out Tweak. About the time M had come out to get the cops a second time. Tweak, it turned out, had outstanding warrants, and so they arrested him. His faceplant with the pole made it easier, as he had something of a history of running from the police. So there you go. A story that started with a simple jeans return ended up being one of the weirdest and funniest returns I've ever had to process in my time in retail management. 5. This happened here, somewhere in the southeast parts of Asia. My best friend is a franchiser of a really popular coffee shop. You know, the one with the green logo? Just a little background. My best friend is the youngest daughter of an owner of a successful group of companies, but she grew up in a simple neighborhood with her aunts, because her dad wanted her to know what the life he grew up in was like. We met each other at a local park and we became best friends. She stayed humble and simple all throughout the years that I've been friends with her, even when she went back to the luxurious life that her parents wanted her to have. We met when we were 5, and now that we're 23, our bond is stronger than ever. Back to present. I've always stayed at her shop almost every day because, duh, free coffee, unlimited too. So the baristas and staff know me as friends, just as how they treat best friend like a friend. The mornings are always the busiest times, and whenever she and the staff are having a hard time, I help them out with simple chores like cleaning up the tables and washing the plates and utensils. She and her staff are always grateful, and besides, it pleases me to help. One morning it wasn't as busy as the usual rowdy mornings at the coffee shop, but there was still a line of maybe 4 or 5 customers, most of which are our regulars that know us by our faces, but not our names. I still chose to help out. My best friend was behind the counter organizing the pastries, and I was cleaning a table, when I suddenly heard an entitled voice. "Hey, clean this table, will you?" I turned to where the voice was coming from, and behold, a Karen sitting on my best friend's cushion chair like it was hers, with her feet on the low table. I wanted to scream at her, kick her feet off, and mock her, but I can't have my best friend's reputation being tarnished, so I calmed myself down and smiled at her. While wiping the table with a cloth, I gently but loudly told her to wait a bit. When I came to where Karen is seated, I was all smiles. "What can I—" "Took you long enough." "Oh, sorry about that, Never mind." I clenched my jaw hard because of how she interrupted while I was talking. Biggest pet peeve. And with her sickening, sarcastic voice, she spoke again. "Would you please be a sweetie and get my order for me?" So I asked her what her order was. "Caramel macchiato with no sugar and more ice." So I went to the counter and asked the barista if the macchiato was already done. He looked at me confused and told me that nobody ordered a macchiato. So I went back to Karen and told her that she hasn't ordered anything yet. Karen clicked her tongue and looked at me menacingly. "Are you stupid? You're supposed to make the order." I almost wanted to swing at her face. "Oh, ma'am, I'm not authorized to put in any orders in the cashier because I don't work here. And you have to make the orders by the counter." "Oh, really? You don't work here? Why are you cleaning tables then? Where is your manager? I need to report staff too lazy to take orders." "But ma'am, I don't work here." "Oh, stop it with your lies. Where is the manager?" "Please calm down. The other customers might be disturbed." "Oh, you're reprimanding me now? Don't you know that my husband is a supervisor with this group of companies? He's close to the father of the owner of this place. I can have you fired for disrespecting me." Just then I hear the firm voice of my best friend. "What seems to be the problem, Mom?" Karen's face lights up, thinking she was the manager. Karen explains how rude I was with declining the favor that she asked of me, and that I was being lazy. After Karen's explanation, best friend put her hand on my back and told me to go to the counter for now. Then asked me to tell the barista to prepare Karen's drink. Karen smiles and leans back on the chair the moment that BF turned around, satisfied. Not even reading the chilly atmosphere. Now, BF is nice. It's just that you should probably avoid being on her bad side. It's always scary when BF is angry. What's funny, though, is that the regulars that were onlookers know how BF gets angry. Right at that moment, they were all silent and probably feeling sorry for Karen already. I hear the barista notify BF that Karen's drink is ready, albeit with a shaky voice. BF hands the drink to Karen, and she had the gall to smirk at BF and lecture her. "Next time, choose your staff wisely. One of them is slacking." "Who might you be talking about, Mom?" Karen looks to the side and nods at the counter where I was leaning on. "Mom, you might have misunderstood. She doesn't work here. She's my best friend. She just helps a lot here." "Are you kidding me? Managers bring their friends to jobs now." "Oh, I'm not the manager." Karen looks bewilderedly at her. The barista beside me was getting anxious because BF was talking calmly to Karen. Too calm.
"What are you then?"
"The owner." I smirked as I saw Karen flinch. She looks wide-eyed at BF. "By the way, Mom, may I ask what the name of your husband is? If your husband really is close to my father, don't you think I should have recognized you by now? I remember all the people that are close to my father, including their wives. So, what is the name of this husband of yours?" When Karen stays silent, BF starts spitting fire. "Please do yourself a favor and do not come back here, because if you do, the moment that I see your face inside my shop, I will not hesitate on teaching you a lesson for humiliating my friend. I can and I will sue you for harassment."
"What?"
"She said get the hell out," I said. BF gives her a really sweet and professional smile and she gestures toward the door. "Will you please kindly fuck off?" Karen stomps out of the coffee shop and not even bothering to pay for her drink. Best friend knew that I would never do anything to stain her name, so she knew immediately that Karen was telling lies, so that BF would take her side, not knowing that she was busted the moment that she started explaining her side to my best friend. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 78. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Well there you go, grocery shopping done while I was working. I've got to remember that for the future, especially when the weather's bad. And thankfully Amazon still does bring things in bags, paper bags that easily just folded up and pop straight in the recycling bin. So that's also good. I'm up really early today, at least early for me. Well, early in general, I suppose. I don't know what's with me lately, but I don't know, I think it's the start of the year, but I've just been feeling kind of funny. Fine most of the week, then Sundays I just feel really down. Like, I just don't want to be awake, don't want to do anything, don't want to face the world. So I just go to bed and sleep most of the day away. Then I feel absolutely fine the next day. Happened last year as well, I'm sure, and then it passed and I was alright. It's odd, but there we go. It'll sort itself out. Probably just need to rest more and eat better. It really could just be something that simple. But at least it's not an ongoing problem. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.